it's exciting to see how much we've developed in terms of technology, innovation, entrepreneurship. As someone who was born and raised here, I think this is actually the most exciting time I'm living through. How can we change the narrative around South Florida when it comes to technology? So that's sort of where the idea of Emerge was born. Can we create a platform to help foster the tech and entrepreneurial ecosystem and really kind of change the story? How do we sustain this incredible growth we've seen in tech and innovation? And how do we do more year-round within that mission?
Hi, today on Opportunity Miami, we have Melissa Medina. She's the co-founder, CEO, and president of Emerge America. She's also a partner at Medina Ventures, an early stage venture fund. Welcome, we're glad to have you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm excited.
We're going to have a great conversation.
For sure.
But before we hop into all of this tech stuff, let's talk a little bit about you. You're a native Miamian, which is so rare these days. Can you talk about what it was like growing up in Miami and what kind of got you on the path that you're on now?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm born and raised here in Miami. I'm first generation American, along with my brother. My parents are both Cuban immigrants, which is, a very similar story to a lot of us who are native from Miami. Our parents fled communism from Cuba to search for more opportunities here, and things have changed a lot in Miami. Mm-hmm. I grew up in Miami Beach. Think of the city of Miami Beach, in the 80s is completely different than it is now. But it's exciting to see how much we've developed in terms of technology, innovation, entrepreneurship, even the arts. So yeah, it's a completely different place, but as someone who was born and raised here, I think this is actually the most exciting time I'm living through in our community.
That's great. Can you talk to us a little bit about what got you interested in tech and how the tech scene has changed in Miami over the last decade or so?
Yeah, of course. I kind of fell into tech. I didn't study tech. I went to the University of Florida, both undergrad and graduate. I studied business and finance, and it was through our family business. So my father founded a company in 1980 called Terramark. Terramark was actually a real estate company and built a lot of Miami, both residential and commercial real estate. And in the late 90s, he basically started learning about what's called data infrastructure, quite literally the real estate around technology. And he wanted to get into the business of building those data centers and was able, thankfully, to build one of the most incredible data centers in the world. It's right here in Miami, called the Nap of the Americas. And that was sort of our family's, call it, integration into the technology world, because he decided after he built that first Nap of the Americas data center here in downtown, which essentially connected all of Latin America to the rest of the world through this building in Miami. Yeah, pretty impressive. He decided, I don't only want to build this, as a real estate developer, I want to operate it. And he felt at the time that this was like the next industrial revolution, and he wanted to.
And he was right.
And he was right. A lot of people called him crazy though, but he was right. And he's a risk taker. I'm excited that he decided to dive in so deep at the time, because it opened up just so much more opportunities in this ecosystem of technology. He ended up being one of the first to get into cloud computing. And that was right around the time I graduated with my master's. So I started working at Terramark. Terramark, the real estate company, turned into Terramark Worldwide, the IT infrastructure and cloud computing company. And then in 2011, the company sold to Verizon. And it was a great, I think, story for Miami in particular, a technology company, that was headquartered here, ended up being a global technology company. We built data centers all over the world. That's sort of where the first conversation that my father and I had about how can we sort of change the narrative around South Florida when it comes to technology. Because we felt at Terramark that it was difficult to evangelize South Florida as a tech hub. And for good reason. It was difficult to hire talent here. We would travel all over the world sort of pitching our products and services, and we were always asked, why are you headquartered in Miami?
Oh, wow.
And for us, that was frustrating, because we believed the same as we do today, that South Florida has all the elements to become a thriving tech hub. So that's sort of where the idea of Emerge was born. Can we create a platform to help foster the tech and entrepreneurial ecosystem and really kind of change the story around South Florida? And that was 2014.
And what Emerge has done over the last 10 years has been absolutely incredible. Share a little bit more about kind of where Emerge has come from to where it is today.
Thank you. Emerge has definitely evolved, and I think the reason that, it has helped build South Florida into what it is today in terms of tech and entrepreneurship has been because we received a lot of support, including from the Beacon Council from day one. It was, we believe in you, we believe in what you're building, and we know how important this can be for our community, helping to create knowledge-based jobs, which are more high-wage jobs, thinking about how innovation intersects all industries. And it started as a conference.
Yeah.
We thought we want to bring together what we consider are the 5 stakeholders of building a thriving tech ecosystem. And that's entrepreneurs, investors, global tech execs, government, and academia. And we knew if we could bring all those together, that it would help our mission. And that conference has now turned into a year-round effort, a movement. It's been 10 years now. It's been a decade of work. And our mission still remains very much the same. But as opposed to helping change the narrative, now it's how do we sustain this incredible growth we've seen in tech and innovation? And how do we do more year-round within that mission? So we host probably another 30 convenings throughout the year. We also publish insight reports, so we're tracking venture activity throughout the entire year and constantly telling the story of all the incredible things that are happening, not only in South Florida, but truthfully across the region in terms of tech and entrepreneurship. And lastly, we put together a robust world-class accelerator program. So we're helping entrepreneurs scale through a 7-week program once a year. And we're also investing in many of these entrepreneurs as well. So it's become now sort of full circle and a lot more than originally we intended a conference. And the conference is still very much a big part of what we do because it's where once a year everything culminates, right? All the hard work we're doing all year round, all our partners are coming together in person, in real life.
It looks like we're accelerating at a rapid clip. I've seen numbers that you guys have put out in terms of the amount of risk capital being spent in this market versus what it was years ago. We've got real momentum. It's not as difficult of a pitch now, I'm sure.
Completely, you're spot on. And you're right. I mean, I think what happened was COVID, no question, played a major role in opening up a global lens into our community. And that definitely helped accelerate things in a way that I don't think any of us could have imagined. And that has continued. The data speaks for itself, right? We're number 1 in tech talent migration. We're now 7th in the nation when it comes to venture activity. We weren't even in the top 20 probably 10 years ago, maybe not even in the top 30. So tracking the data and putting that out there, I think also validates everything that we're evangelizing.
That's right. So you all recently did a report that looked at the last 10 years and some of the outcomes. Could you share some of the highlights of that report?
Yeah, absolutely. It was actually a report done by the Washington Economics Group. It was an independent study done on the work of Emerge over the last decade, and they did it as a sort of culmination of the 10 years that we've been in business. And it was really, really exciting to receive. We received it in April, right before our 10th anniversary conference. And it showed that our organization has had over $2.6 billion impact across our state.
Wow.
And we've helped create over 10,000 jobs, high-paying jobs.
Wow.
In the innovation sector. That, for me, and I think for the entire organization, was incredible to read and see it in black and white, that we have had this impact far beyond what we could have imagined. And that just also gives us energy to continue to do more. We want to double that impact.
It's interesting. So people often ask me about tech, and I tell them, they're like, so what are you seeing in terms of tech? I said, well, first of all, let's back up. Like, because tech is everywhere and everything.
Oh, across every industry.
Across every industry. So I'm like, when I'm pitching tech, a lot of times I'm pitching financial services. A lot of times I'm pitching trade and logistics. I'm pitching aviation, health. And so what are the areas in tech where you see the biggest opportunities for Miami or interesting trends?
Yeah. Interesting trends, again, kind of going back to the data, is showing that in our state, the most venture activity and the most venture dollars are going into the financial sector. And so fintech certainly is an industry that we have to continue to keep an eye on. Second, and creeping up to the financial sector, is healthcare, which is really exciting to see. So a lot more activity around the health tech space. And something else that we're seeing, which shouldn't be any surprise because of where we are geographically, we're seeing a lot around climate tech. And that's important. That's also exciting to see, innovative solutions coming out that could potentially help, when it comes to natural disasters, when it comes to our environment. So we're seeing a lot around those three. There's another one, though, that I think will be a massive opportunity for us in the next few years, and we're seeing a lot of interest around, and that's around dual use and defense technologies. We have, in the state of Florida, several commands that are located in our state, and we're seeing incredible technologies that are sort of helping our armed forces, and there's a lot of innovations in that space that we're seeing.
I like all the sectors that you mentioned, and I'll just kind of pull on a thread that's interesting about all of those. I believe those are absolutely the right sectors. And because if you look at the growth of those sectors on a global scale,
exactly,
those are the sectors where there's growth. And all of those sectors, if you really peel it back just a little bit, are really about not just quality of life, but health and wellness and being able to live. FinTech has really, brought so many of the unbanked.
Oh, complete. It's transformed Latin America. And there's still so much opportunity there to help the unbanked.
A lot of those FinTech companies, although they are not operating in the U.S., they're here in Miami. I think at our last count, we saw something like 250 FinTech companies, and a lot of them are Miami-based but providing service to Latin America.
Absolutely.
And so we want to continue on that trend, and I don't see that going anywhere.
I don't either, and I think you mentioned something really interesting and very unique to South Florida, and that is our connection to Latin America. And that actually is another one of the reasons why we felt launching Emerge Americas here was important, and that is the talent that's coming out of Latin America, the ideas, the entrepreneurs, the technology, et cetera, is massive. South Florida has really been a gateway in many ways to Latin America for many industries, but at the time, circa 2012, 2013, there really wasn't this bridge between Latin America and our community in terms of tech, and we've seen that evolve. The same way you just said, you see so many Latin American fintechs here. We see that across so many industries now, and it's exciting for us, and it really is a differentiator for us as a community.
I think Miami's connection to Latin America and the Caribbean is a very unique one. I don't know that there's any other place in the country or around the world that has the kind of connection.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I think that's our secret sauce.
That is. Mm-hmm.
And the most important factor always as it relates to growing the economy is access to smart people who want to work. It's labor, it's talent. And I believe Miami is already a hub for smart talent from around the world, but I think it's going to be even more so, a lot thanks to the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Here at Opportunity Miami, we think a lot about the Miami of 2040. What does that look like to you from a tech perspective? And what do we need to be doing to prepare the children and the workforce for what's to come around the corner?
Yeah, well, 2040, that's exciting to think that far ahead. There's no question in my mind that we will be one of the world-class epicenters for tech and innovation. In the next couple of decades, we're going to see that trend only multiply. As far as preparing our talent, I'm excited that all the universities that we work with, all the major universities across our state, over the last 5 to 10 years have evolved completely as well, as far as getting their students ready. AI centers have opened, colleges are providing AI degrees, graduating the most diverse group of engineers. There's obviously across different universities. One of the headlines that we always saw 10 years ago was this brain drain, that we couldn't keep the talent that we were creating because we didn't have the opportunities. I don't think that's even going to be a topic anymore, because there are so many companies now that have moved to Miami, that are placing their flag, growing their teams, hiring local talent, and I think that's not even going to be a topic of conversation in the Miami of 2040, and I'm excited to see how that evolves in the future.
So the first 10 years of Emerge are in the past.
Yes.
And it's been an
Crazy
exciting
to
10 years.
think.
An exciting 10 years.
Yes.
But this is a vastly different market. You can put a stake in the ground and say, hey, we've had success. What does the next 10 years look like for eMERGE?
It's so exciting to think about the next 10 years from an eMERGE perspective. And what we continue to do is add verticals. We continue to look at the emerging technologies that are coming out, AI, quantum. So we're putting those at the forefront of what we're building over the next 10 years. Continue to do more engagement throughout the entire year. Continue to expand our accelerator program to help as many entrepreneurs as possible scale, and also continue to expand our fund so we could invest more in these entrepreneurs. So I would say a lot more of what we're doing. We're doubling down.
That's great. That's great. Now's a great time to do it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.